For this argumentative speech, I'm going to be discussing why the United States should intervene in the Middle East. For centuries, chaos in the Middle East has been uncontrollable, and there's never seemed to be a possible solution to all the fighting and tensions. In the past decade or so, things have only seemed to have gotten worse, as terrorist groups such as ISIS and Al-Qaeda continue to grow more powerful by attacking major countries in the world for their radical Islamic beliefs. To make matters worse, Syria is in a civil war between the fascist Assad regime versus its rebellious citizens. The United States, as well as other powerhouse countries in the world, need to do more than monitor the Middle East. They need to intervene in Syria in order to bring an end to ISIS. If they do not, ISIS could continue to grow, and who knows what they could be able to do. To continue, as Paul Starr puts it, two distinct, albeit overlapping, wars are taking place in Syria. The war between rebel groups and the Assad regime, which the regime now seems to be winning, and the war in which Allied forces are trying to roll back and destroy ISIS. As the first chart on your outline shows, although ISIS's attacks have taken place all over the world, all of their provinces are primarily placed in the Middle East. With continued U.S. non-intervention, these radical Islamic groups could continue to grow as they have been doing, causing a huge catastrophe for the entire world. The reason for this, as Friedman puts it in his article, is that without an equitable resolution of the Syrian civil war, ISIS will continue operating freely in Syria and expanding its brand with ease to other destabilized countries. Although it is difficult to show the size of an illegal and underground group like ISIS, this second graph on your outline shows the growth in their social media content over the years. This graph shows that ISIS has grown exponentially in recent years and will probably only continue to grow as they become more popular. The United States, as well as other powerhouses in the world, need to cut this off from happening, and here are a few more reasons why. For starters, it is inhumane what is going on in the Middle East. A civilized country like the United States cannot and should not let a desperate country like Syria suffer like this. It has always been the role of the most developed countries in the world to protect and maintain peace in the world, not just worry about the safety of themselves. Another more direct reason these wars affect the United States is that what one country does will eventually affect other countries. ISIS is quickly growing more and more powerful and is continuing to make more and more attacks around the world. As the New York Post puts it, President Obama has a choice. He can either destroy the Islamic State group in Syria and Iraq, or see the Islamic State bring its war to America. If nothing is done to stop them, then they will only continue to grow stronger and will eventually have the power to attack or even declare war on the United States. The United States needs to protect its citizens. With all the extremist groups in the Middle East that hate the Western world, the United States cannot isolate from them and let them grow stronger. They must instead attack them directly to protect the United States and the rest of the world. If these extremist groups are not destroyed, who knows what they could do or how powerful they could become. A third reason the United States should intervene in the Middle East is by comparing the situation to past historical events and learning from them. Just as before World War II, the United States decided not to intervene until they were directly attacked by Japan in Pearl Harbor. Similar to what Bashar al-Assad is doing in Syria today, Hitler was exterminating many of his people before growing more power and continuing to attack other countries. It was not until the United States finally intervened that Germany and its supporters began losing power and losing momentum. Because of how much power the opposition had gained by then, many more American soldiers died in World War II than there needed to be. When looking back, at the current Assad regime in Syria, not only are they strengthening a dictatorship in Syria without any external intervention, but they're also now getting support from outside countries. For example, Russia is now bombing anti-Assad rebels in order to keep the regime in power, something that much of the Western world does not agree with. For a country that has worked so hard to maintain democracy throughout the world, this seems like an extreme case where a country needs help. Russia is now trying to get countries such as Israel and Iran to support them and make allies. Nobody intervenes with this. They'll only continue to grow stronger. To conclude, the United States cannot simply watch and monitor the Islamic State when there are more and more attacks occurring as time passes. ISIS and other extremist groups are attacking large and important places, killing many innocent people. The United States, as well as other powerhouses in the world, must declare war on these groups and do what they can to weaken them and force them to forfeit before more innocent people are killed and these groups continue to get stronger, just as in World War II. As the New York Post puts it, either we destroy the Islamic State in Syria and Iraq, or the Islamic State will come home for us. The choice for President Obama is not whether we should fight the Islamic State on the ground, but whether we want to do so on its home base or ours. To me, the answer should be pretty clear.